I'm Dennis Roy Felix. We will discuss the Scholastic Triumph of Rizal at the Ateneo de Manila.
Before we proceed to the actual discussion, let's first watch this short clip.
Padre Gómez. ¿Confesión?
Ang ating patutungo ay isang lugar na kung saan hindi kikilos ang mga dahon nang walang kumpas ang mahal na Panginoon Diyos.
Verdugo. Padre Zamora, ¿algunas últimas palabras? No. Oh, anda. Padre Burgos. Jodido fraile. Verdugo. Espera. ¡Observen! El garrote. Así sufren los traidores y herejes. ¡Verdugo!
The clip that we watched a while ago was the martyrdom of Gomburza. Gomburza refers to the three Catholic priests, Mariano Gomez, Jose Burgos, and Jacinto Zamora, who were executed by garrote on February 17, 1872.
Let's now proceed to the discussion. 4 months after the martyrdom of Gumburza, and with Doña Chodora still in prison, Jose, who had not yet celebrated his 11th birthday, was sent to Manila. He studied in the Ateneo Municipal, a college under the supervision of the Spanish Jesuits. This college was a bitter rival of the Dominican-owned College of San Juan de Letran. It was formerly the Escuela Pia Charity School, a school for boys in Manila, which was established by the city government in 1817. When the Jesuits who had been expelled from the Philippines in 1768 returned to Manila in 1859, they were given the management of the Escuela Pia, whose name was changed to Ateneo Municipal and later became the Ateneo de Manila. June 10, 1872, Jose, accompanied by Pasiano, went to Manila. He took the entrance examination on Christian doctrine, arithmetic, and reading at the College of San Juan de Letran and passed them. His father, who first wished him to study at Letran, changed his mind and decided to send him to Ateneo instead. That is why, upon his return to Manila, Jose, again accompanied by Pasiano, matriculated at Ateneo Municipal. Father Magin Fernando, who was the college registrar, refused to admit him for 2 reasons. First, he was late for registration, and second, he was sickly and undersized for his age. Rizal was then 11 years old. However, upon the intercession of Manuel Ceres Burgos, nephew of Father Burgos, he was reluctant admitted at the Ateneo. Jose was the first of his family to adopt the surname Rizal. He registered under this name at the Ateneo because their family name, Mercado, had come under the suspicion of the Spanish authorities. Panciano had used Mercado as his surname at the College of San Jose, and he was known to the authorities as Father Burgos, favorite student and confidant. At the time Jose studied in the Ateneo, this college was located in Intramuros, within the walls of Manila. He first boarded in the house outside Intramuros, on Cataballo Street. 25 minutes walk from the college, this boarding house was owned by a spinster named Titay, who owned the Rizal family the amount of 300 pesos. Jose boarded with her in order to collect part of the debt. Jesuit system of education. The system of education given by the Jesuits in the Ateneo was more advanced than that of the other colleges in that period. It trained the character of the student by rigid discipline and religious instruction. It promoted physical culture, humanities, and scientific studies. Aside from academic courses leading to the degree of Bachelor of Arts, it offered vocational courses in agriculture, commerce, mechanics, and surveying. The students heard Mass in the morning before the beginning of the daily class. Classes in every subject were open and closed with prayers. Students were divided into 2 groups, namely the Roman Empire consisting of internos or boarders, and the Carthaginian Empire composed of the externors or non-boarders. Each of these empires had its rank. The best student in each empire was the emperor. The second best, the tribune. The third best is the decurion. The fourth best is the centurion. And the fifth best is the standard bearer. Within the empire, the students fought for positions. Any students could challenge any officer in his empire to answer question in the day's lesson. His opponent could lose his position if he committed 3 mistakes. Any student might be at the end of the line, but if the student hard and was brilliant, he could depose the officers one after another and become an emperor. The 2 groups, Roman Empire and the Carthaginian Empire, were in constant competition for supremacy in the class. They had their distinctive banners, red for the Romans and blue for the Carthaginians. At the beginning of the school term, both banners were used equally in the classroom. Upon the first defeat, the banner of the losing party was transferred to the left side of the room. Second, inferior position on the right side. Third, inclined flag was placed on the left. Fourth, flag was reversed and returned to the right. Fifth, reverse flag was placed on the left. Sixth, banner was changed with the figure of a donkey. The Ateneo students in Rizal's time wore a uniform which consisted of hemp fabric trousers and striped cotton coat. The coat material was called raidillo, which later became famous for it was adopted as the uniform for Filipino troops during the days of the First Philippine Republic. Rizal's first year in Ateneo, 1872 to 73. On his first day of class in Ateneo in June 1872, Rizal first heard Mass at the college chapel and prayed fervently to God for guidance and success. When the Mass was finished, he went to his class where he saw a great number of boys, Spaniards, Mestizos, and Filipinos. Rizal's first professor in the Ateneo was Father Jose Beck. Being a newcomer and knowing little Spanish, Rizal was placed at the bottom of the class. He was an external, hence he was assigned to the Carthaginians, occupying at the end of the line. After the first week, the frail Calamba boy progressed rapidly. At the end of the month, he became emperor. He was the brightest pupil in the whole class and he was awarded a prize. How pleased I was, he said. When I won the first prize, a religious picture, he was proud of it because it was the first prize he ever won at the Ateneo. To improve his Spanish, Rizal took private lesson in Santa Isabel College during the noon recess and paid 3 pesos for extra Spanish lessons. He placed seconds at the end of the year, although his grades were marked excellent. March 1873, Rizal returned to Calamba for summer vacation. His sister, Neneng or Saturnina, brought him to Tanawan to cheer him up. Visited his mother in prison at Santa Cruz without telling his father. After vacation, he returned to Manila for his second-year term in Ateneo. He boarded inside Intramuros at number 6 Magallanes Street. Doña Pepay was his landlady, an old widow with a widowed daughter and 4 sons. He repented having neglected his studies the previous year because he was offended by a teacher's remarks. Rizal studied harder and once more he became an emperor after losing his class leadership. He had 3 classmates from Binyan who had also been his classmate in the school of Maestro Justiniano. At the end of the school year, he received excellent grades in all subjects and a gold medal. The prophecy of mother release. Rizal's dream about his mother, the youthful Joseph in the Bible. Teenage interest in reading. During the summer vacation in Calamba, 1874, first favorite novel of Rizal is The Count of Monte Cristo by Alexander Dumas, a voracious reader. Cesar Cantus' historical work entitled Universal History. Travels in the Philippines by Dr. Fyodor Hagor, a German scientist traveler within 1859 to 1860. Third year in Ateneo, 1874 to 1875. In June 1874, Rizal returned to the Ateneo for his junior year. Shortly after the opening of the classes, his mother arrived and joyously told him that she was released from the prison. Just as he had predicted during his last visit to her prison cell in Santa Cruz, Laguna. He was happy, of course, to see his mother once more a free woman. However, despite the family happiness, Rizal did not make an excellent showing in his studies as in the previous year. His grade remained excellent in all subjects, but he won only 1 medal in Latin. He failed to win the medal in Spanish because his spoken Spanish was not fluently Sonorius. He was beaten by Spaniard who naturally could speak Spanish with fluency and with right accentuation. At the end of the school year, March 1875, Rizal returned to Calamba for the summer vacation. He himself was not impressed by his scholastic work. Fourth year in Ateneo, 1875 to 1876. After a refreshing and happy summer vacation, Rizal went back to Manila for his fourth-year course. On June 16, 1875, he became an interno in the Ateneo. One of his professors this time was Father Francisco de Paula Sanchez, a great educator and scholar. He inspired the young Rizal to study harder and to write poetry. In his student memoirs, Rizal wrote of Father Sanchez in glowing terms. Showing his affection and gratitude, he described his Jesuit professors as model of uprightness, earnestness, and love for the advancement of his pupils. Inspired by Father Sanchez, Rizal resumed his studies with vigor and zest. He topped all his classmates in all subjects and won 5 medals. At the end of the school term, he returned to Calamba for his summer vacation, March 1876, and proudly offered his 5 medals and excellent ratings to his parents. He was extremely happy, for he was able to repay his somewhat for his sacrifices. And that's the end of my part, and the discussion will be continued by Mary Joyce Castillo.
Last year of Rizal in Ateneo, 1876 to 1877. After the summer vacation, Rizal returned to Manila in June 1876 for his last year in Ateneo. His studies continued to fare well. As a matter of fact, he excelled in all subjects, the most brilliant Atenean of his time. He was truly the pride of the Jesuits. Rizal finished his last year at Ateneo in a blaze. He obtained the highest grades in all subjects: philosophy, physics, biology, chemistry, languages, and etc. Graduation with highest honors. Rizal graduated head of his class. His scholastic records at the Ateneo from 1872 to 1877. On commencement day, March 23, 1877, Rizal, who was 16 years old, received from his alma mater, Ateneo Municipal, the degree of Bachelor of Arts with highest honors. Extracurricular activities in Ateneo. Rizal unsurpassed in academic triumphs, was not a mere bookworm. He was active in extracurricular activities, an emperor inside the classroom. He was a campus leader outside. He was an active member, later secretary, of a religious society, the Marian Congregation. He was accepted as member of this society not only because of his academic brilliance, but also because of his devotion to the Our Lady of Immaculate Conception, the college patroness. Rizal was also a member of the Academy of Spanish Literature and the Academy of Natural Sciences. These academics were exclusive societies in the Ateneo, to which only Athenians who were gifted in literature and sciences could qualify for membership. In his leisure time, Rizal cultivated his literacy talent under the guidance of Father Sanchez. Another professor, Father Jose Villaclara, advised him to stop communing with the muses and pay more attention to more practical studies, such as philosophy and natural sciences. Rizal did not heed his advice. He continued to solicit Father Sanchez's help in improving his poetry. Aside from writing poetry, he devoted his spare time to fine arts. He studied painting under the famous Spanish painter Agustin Saez and sculpture under Romualdo de Jesus, noted Filipino sculptor. Both art masters honored him with their affection, for he was a talented pupil. Furthermore, Rizal, to develop his weak body, engaged in the gymnastics and fencing. He thereby continued the physical training he began under his sports-minded Tio Manuel. The sculptural works in Ateneo. Rizal impressed his Jesuit professors in the Ateneo with his artistic skill. One day, he carved an image of the Virgin Mary on a piece of batikuling, a Philippine hardwood, with his pocket knife. The Jesuit fathers were amazed at the beauty and grace of the image. Father Leonard, impressed by Rizal's sculptural talent, requested him to carve for him an image of the Sacred Heart of Jesus. Young Rizal complied, and within a few days, he presented it to Father Leonard. The old Jesuit was highly pleased and profusely thanked the teenage sculptor. He intended to take the image with him to Spain, but being an absent-minded professor, he forgot to do so. The Ateneo boarding students placed it on the door of their dormitory, and there it remained for many years, reminding all Athenians of Dr. Rizal, the greatest alumnus of their alma mater. This image played a significant part in Rizal's last hours at Fort Santiago. Anecdotes on Rizal, the Athenian. One of the Rizal's contemporaries in the Ateneo was Felix M. Rojas. He related an incident of Rizal's school days in the Ateneo, which reveals the hero's resignation to pain and forgiveness. One day, many Athenians, including Rizal, were studying their lesson at the study hall. Two Athenians, Manzano and Lizaca, quarreled and violently hurled books at each other. Rizal, who was busy at his desk poring over his lessons, was hit in the face by one of the thrown books. He did not raise a cry of protest, although his wounded face was bleeding. His classmates brought him to the infirmary, where he had to undergo medical treatment for several days. After the incident, he continued to attend his classes, feeling neither bitterness nor rancor toward the guilty party. Another anecdote on Rizal the Athenian was related by Manuel Ceres Burgos, in whose house Rizal boarded shortly before he became an interno in the Ateneo. Poems written in Ateneo. The first poem Rizal probably wrote during his days in the Ateneo was Mi Primera Inspiración, My First Inspiration, which was dedicated to his mother on her birthday. It is said that he wrote it before he was 14 years old. That is in the year 1874. Before this year, he did not write poetry because there was gloom in his heart owing to his mother's imprisonment. Upon the release of his mother in 1874, his poetic heart began to sing with ecstasy and joy. In 1875, inspired by Father Sanchez, he wrote more poems such as Felicitación, Felicitation, El Embark, Himno a la Flota de Magallanes, the Departure Hymn to Magallanes Fleet, E.S. Español, Elcano, the first to circumnavigate the world, El Combate, Urbistondo, Terror de Jolo, the Battle, Urbistondo, Terror of Jolo. In 1876, Rizal wrote poems on various topics in religion, education, childhood memories, and war. They were as follows. Un recuerdo a mi pueblo, in memory of my town. Alianza íntima entre la religión y la buena educación. Intimate alliance between religion and good education. Por la educación reciba lustre la patria. Through education, the country received light. El Cautivero y el Triunfo. The captivity and the triumphs. Battle of Lucena and the imprisonment of Boabdil. This martial poem describes the defeat and capture of Boabdil, last Moorish Sultan of Granada. The Entrada Triunfal de los Reyes Católicos en Granada. The triumphal entry of the Catholic monarchs into Granada. This poem relates the victorious entry of King Ferdinand and Queen Isabel into Granada, last Moorish stronghold in Spain. A year later, in 1877, he wrote more poems. El Heroísmo de Colón, The Heroism of Columbus. Colón y Juan II, Columbus and John II. Gran Consuelo en la mayor desdicha, great solace in great misfortune. Un diálogo alusivo a la despedida de los colegiales, a farewell dialogue of the students. My first inspiration. It was most fitting that the first poem written by Rizal as an Atenean should be about his beloved mother. In his poem, he felicitates his mother on her birthday, expressing his filial affection in sonorous verses. Dramatic work in Ateneo. While Rizal was still a student at the Ateneo, his favorite teacher, Father Sanchez, requested him to write a drama based on the prose story of Saint Justus the Martyr. During the summer vacation of 1876, he wrote the requested religious drama in poetic verses at his home in Calamba and finished it on June 2, 1876. Upon the opening of classes at the Ateneo in June 1876, his last academic year at the Jesuit College, he submitted to Father Sanchez the finished manuscript of the drama, entitled San Eustacio Martyr, Saint Justus the Martyr. The good priest teacher read it and felicitated the young Athenian for work well done. First Romance of Rizal. Shortly after his graduation from the Ateneo, Rizal, who was then 16 years old, experienced his first romance. That painful experience where comes to nearly all adolescents. First Romance of Rizal. Shortly after his graduation from the Ateneo, Rizal, who was then 16 years old, experienced his first romance. That painful experience which comes to the nearly all adolescents. The girl was Segunda Katigbak, a pretty 14 years old Batangueña from Lipa. One Sunday, Rizal visited his maternal grandmother who lived in Trozo, Manila. He was accompanied by his friend Mariano Katigbak. His old grandmother was a friend of Katigbak family of Lipa. When he reached his grandmother's house, he saw other guests, one of whom was an attractive girl who mysteriously caused his heart to palpitate with strange ecstasy. He was the sister of his friend Mariano, and her name was Segunda. Rizal came to know Segunda more intimately during his weekly visits to La Cordonia College, where his sister Olympia was a boarding student. Olympia was a close friend of Segunda. It was apparently that Rizal and Segunda loved each other. Theirs was indeed a love at first sight, but it was hopeless since the very beginning because Segunda was already engaged to be married to her townmate Manuel Luz. Rizal, for all his artistic and intellectual prowess, was a shy and timid lover. Segunda had manifested, by insinuation and deeds, her affection for him, but he timidly failed to propose. The last time they talked to each other was one Thursday in December 1877, when the Christmas vacation was about to begin. He visited Segunda at La Concordia College to say goodbye, because he was going home to Calamba the following day. She, on her part, told him she was also going home one day later. She kept quiet after her brief reply, waiting for him to say something which her heart was clamoring to hear. The following day, Saturday, he learned that the steamer carrying Segunda and her family would not anchor at Calamba because of the strong winds. It would stop in Binyan. He saddled his white horse and waited at the road. A cavalcade of camoratas from Binyan passed by, in one of whom was Segunda, smiling and waving her handkerchief at him. He doffed his hat and was tongue-tied to say anything. Her carriage rolled on and vanished in the distance like a swift shadow. He returned home, dazed and desolate, with his first romance ruined by his own shyness and reserve. The first girl whom he loved with ardent fervor was lost to him forever. He returned to Lipa and later married Manuel Luz. He remained in Calamba, a frustrated lover, cherishing nostalgic memories of a lost love. 3 years later, Rizal, recording his first and tragic romance, said, "Ended at an early hour. My first love, my virgin heart will always mourn the reckless step it took on the flower deck abyss. My illusions will return, yes, but indifferent, uncertain, ready for the first betrayal on the path of love." And that's the end of our report. Thank you for listening. Bye-bye!
Bye!